Right, 40 years ago on this very day, Tirelo Shishaba started broadcasting with a staff complement of 2 members only. The frequency only reached Windhoek and the Hobart area on a 50-kilometer radius. Joining me in studio today to talk about the 40th anniversary of the radio station is Tirelo Shishaba FM radio manager, that's Lunah Rampaga. Lunah, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Good morning. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
You have all the reason to be happy to be celebrating today 40 years of Tirelo Shishaba.
Yes.
Talk to us about this journey.
Oh, this was a beautiful journey. And I think from me saying it's a beautiful journey, the elders will probably feel a little bit setback.
Yeah.
Because they were the founders of this whole journey.
Very much.
And the first time when we went on air on the 1st of April 1981, it was on Omorare Radio for 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening.
In the evenings.
So that 1st of April, like in March, there was this announcement that, you know, listen to the radio, listen to the radio. And I remember very well, the 1st of April in the evening at 8 o'clock on Omorare Radio, our logo came up. The roaring lion, and it was Dumelang Baretsi, Basichuana, Dumelang Banamibia.
You can still hear those words very clearly.
Very beautiful sound, very beautiful sound.
And it's been such a long journey, you know, a journey of growth, a journey of development, rebranding in the meantime as well. In 2018,
exactly.
Setswana Radio, as it was known back in the day, became Tirelo Shishaba. What does that branding mean for this radio station, to the identity of this radio station?
The branding and the identity, it was to actually blend in with the whole Namibian population, blend in with the Namibian people, to show that the Botswana people are not individual, they are not on an island. We belong to a whole population, we belong to other people. And over the years, we've intermarried, we've grown, we speak different languages. And so it was just good and wise to actually blend in and celebrate that unity of being part of this beautiful country of ours.
Very much so.
Through the rebranding and the changing of the name to make it more unifying and more
representative.
Embracing. Yes.
Very much. Just for the sake of our viewers, what does Tirelo Shishaba mean?
Tirelo Shishaba means working for the nation, which means us as the staff members, when we go to work every morning, we are not going there for self-interest or for self-promotion, but it is for the whole population. Very much not just also for the Tswana people, but the nation as a whole.
How effective, how important has this rebranding proven to be since 2018?
Very effective, because it embraces other cultures as well. Because currently we're also not just broadcasting in Setswana on our frequency, we're also broadcasting in Sekhalkhadi for 2 hours. So, and if you look in Omayeke, there are also different culture or different nations that speak Setswana. And people also have preferences to listen to a different language, not necessarily their own language. So that embraces that, because when you say Tirelo Shishaba, then it's not just individual to a certain tribe. I, as a non-Mutswana, feel embraced. The Bakhalahadis of Namibia feel embraced. The San people of Omayeke feel embraced in this language, because now when you say Tirelo Shishaba, you are referring to them as well, not just the Botswana people. So it really was a good idea.
And it speaks to, you know, the foundation of the radio station and its presence in the country today. I mean, from initial from an initial 2 staff complement to what, 15 staff today, and of course you're almost across the entire country, so to say.
Yes. I can probably also just touch on some of the frequencies we have. In Windhoek it's 19.4. Keetmanshoop 102.8. We're also in Keetmanshoop. Oshakati 99.7, Katima Mulilo 87.8, Hobart 97.2, and the coastal area 95.5. So you can hear us from all over the country.
All 4 corners of the country.
All 4 corners of the country.
Looking at, you know, radio, I think, you know, over the past year, there's always been sort of this debate about radio, you know, the oldest medium of media, and how it's slowly but surely dying out, you know, how TV is killing it, how online platforms are killing it, etc. But in your experience, what would you say is the state of radio?
I think currently the state of radio, it's not dying out. And I think a good example was during the is it last year when we started broadcasting from 7? No. When we
7
to 7. And I remember that time I also traveled to the north.
Yeah.
And you know, when you wake up in the morning, elders normally switch on their radios across this country.
Yeah.
And for the first time, there was such a silence across that village. You could literally feel it.
Yeah.
And I saw an old man just working with the radio,
yeah.
waiting for 7 o'clock to like just strike so that they can just switch on.
Wow.
And I realized it is part of us. We need this radio. Sometimes with maybe because of TV, we think we don't need it, but you'll come to a place where it's very quiet, then you'll realize what I need to listen to the radio.
True.
And that's where its relevance come in. I think a short moment, removal from your comfort zone of thinking you don't need radio will make you realize there is a need to maintain and to keep radio.
Very much. And look at with the COVID-19 pandemic, for instance. Perfect example. You know, when much of the information was on mainstream mediums, you know, like TV, online platforms, etc. But in that point in time, you know, a lot of people were dependent on information coming through their radio speakers.
Exactly.
Just how important has TYS Chapter been in informing the nation about this pandemic?
Very, very important, because some of these messages would repeat them on all our programs, so you'll not just see it once, it will be throughout the day. And there was also an opportunity for callers to call in, because I think that's also the thing that radio offers the listeners. They can call in and ask questions where they did not understand. You could explain that, or you could go get them the information. And that makes it still relevant today. And since we also started with the COVID program of 15 hours, some of that message, once it's relayed, we from the indigenous languages will go retranslate that and reproduce it, and also have some experts also coming in who speak the language to just explain it further. And because there are so many things we think we know, but you'll be surprised how people can actually add value to the information that you have. Very much so. Yes.
Lunah, as station manager, I know you're not supposed to be biased, but what are some of the popular programs, or the most popular programs on TYS Chapter?
Without being biased, I think everybody, even my team members, even the listeners will agree. The breakfast show, it's always the, you know, it is a favorite. Mostly because it's one of the programs you hear in the morning. It's opening the day. You start your day with that. And our people...
Hosted by Masaka, right?
Hosted by Andres Masaka. And we also have our evening actuality program, where we actually round off the news of the day. And that is also very popular, because that's the time that most people are home, they are relaxed. So they would like to listen and just pick up what went throughout the day. And sometimes people don't want to hear hot news, news. But you know, just some good stories that relax you. We also have our drive show. It's at 5 o'clock, so a lot of people, when they are going home, it's nice to listen to. They are well entertained. We also have our community hour program that plays in the morning, where we also answer questions that were raised during our call-in program. We bring in the people that they wanted to hear about to answer questions that they had on air. So, and the most popular one actually after the morning show is the call-in program. It's the call-in program.
And you know, as a platform for that, you know, hearing some of the complaints of the communities, how important has this call-in program proven to be?
Very important, because some people, they try to reach their local leadership to get answers. And sometimes they don't get the answers that are satisfactory to them. So they call in to us and say, I tried this and this and this. Maybe if you go, we'll get an answer, because I still need to hear this. And I think most of our listeners will call in and actually express gratitude for the effort we took to get those answers. And also one of the things that sometimes one always have to make clear to the listeners is that we are a medium. We are not an organization that can like answer your questions about this and that. We are just a bridge from this to that. So we'll bring you the information. And sometimes, you know, we cannot make everybody happy, but we try our best to bring what we can to the fore, to bring people to come and answer those questions and all those things.
Very much,
so it's been quite interesting.
Obviously, there'll be a lot of festivities, I hope, or I don't know. What does the celebration look like for 40 years of TYS Chapter?
Actually, today, we are very happy that yesterday the President increased the number of public gatherings, because that was one of the dilemma. How do we celebrate this big achievement with only 50 people? So we were planning on, we actually shifted the celebration to somewhere towards end of April or beginning of May. And now that we've been told yesterday we can go up to 100, I think that's good news. So we will have a gathering of more than 100 people, less than 100
please,
people.
Yes. We don't want to get into trouble now.
I nearly got into trouble. So we'll have a guest of close to 100 people, and I think that will be enough, a big number to actually participate in this big celebration of being 40 years of being on the airwaves.
Fantastic. It's been 40 years of Tirelo Yasa Chaba. Of course, a good foundation has been laid. What does the next 40 years look like? What does the future of this radio station look like?
The future is bright because currently we are also on Facebook. So I think it's just to improve also going visual on Facebook, doing the Twitter things, you know, joining the whole social media.
Nice.
In Setswana. Yes. Speaking the language there, promoting the language there. I think that's one of the big gates that await us. And also getting our programs broadcasted there on radio, because sometimes we stream, but not as effective as it should be. Yeah. So that is one of...
I think with time, you know,
with time we will... currently we are crawling, but I think with time we'll actually run. Yeah. And what else? Relocating to Hobart.
That's a big plan on the cards.
That's a big plan, yes. So that's one of the big plans for the future. Having an office in Hobart. That will not be only a Tirelo Chaba office, but we'll have a NBC regional office in Hobart. Yeah.
Perhaps for those who are asking, you know, why move to Hobart, you know, what are the reasons behind this, and also how far along is this this move?
Moving to Hobart, it's a necessity because it was part of the dream. It was part of the first plan. That once we find our feet, the plan was to go to Hobart. So the forefathers have laid that foundation, and we are not diverting from that. That's one. And also moving to Hobart or Omaheke region, it's also to be closer to the people that speak the language. So that they can also access it easily. Because sometimes the issue of transport, the issue of phone calls, so some people prefer to actually literally be there. So that's also the other reason. And the third one is to also just establish NBC as a brand in Omaheke region.
In the Omaheke region.
Yes.
How far along are we from realizing this move, this project here?
We are very close. Very, very close. I think that's all I can disclose.
For now.
With the celebration, the rest will be revealed. How close we are or how far we are, but we are very close.
Great stuff. Lunah Rampaga, any final remarks from you this morning?
I think the final remark, I would just like to thank our listeners who has been supportive throughout the 40 years. I know we cannot please everybody, but we are happy that despite the complaint, the disagreement, they still stuck with us, still listen to us, still chose us as a preferred radio station. And we also want to thank the others who learned Setswana through listening to our radio station, because that also make us feel that what we are doing, it's worth the work that we put on the table. And then finally, I would like to thank the staff who always bring in their A game to work.
Very much.
And, you know, do what they have to do. Yes, in every environment you disagree, you agree, but what makes me always happy is that when it's time for pulling in one direction, we actually literally leave all those things and find that rope and pull in the same direction. And I think for any leader or any person leading people, if you can have that, it's a plus in your whole cupboard. And lastly, I would like to thank the NBC management for their support throughout, from the beginning up to now and into the future. I would like to say thank you very much to the Director General, to the Chief, to the HOD for also being the leaders and the guiders of this project and this radio station.
Lunah Rampaga, thank you so much for being here this morning. All the best to you and to the colleagues at Tirelo Yasa Chaba. Thank you so much for being here, and happy 40 years old to you guys here.
Thank you very much, and happy birthday to you.
Thank you. There you have it. Station manager of Tirelo Yasa Chaba, Lunah Rampaga, talking to us this morning about the journey of this radio station that started some 40 years ago on this very day, the 1st of April, back in 1981. With a staff complement of 2 only, And today the radio station boasts over about 15 employees and are present in all corners of the country as they continue to inform the nation, as they continue to entertain the nation, as radio stations should. And Tirelo ya Shashaba is, of course, one of those radio stations.